Welcome to Success Superstars, episode number 232, your place for the blueprint of success for peak performers just like you. And my special guest today, broker owner, Owen Gill. Owen, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, got the hat on today. I love it.
You know me, man. I try to switch it up every time I come on with you.
That's a trademark, man. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, hey, what's it like being a broker owner in a shifting market?
There's some challenges to it. I think it's more, you and me talked about this recently. I think it's more of a shock to newer agents that have experienced, the last couple of years of the market. But for me, I've sold real estate when it's been up and when it's been down. So I kind of welcome this as an opportunity to fine tune myself and my agents and look forward,
Right. Selling a home in 24 to 48 hours with 50 offers is not normal, right?
No.
And as we start to normal out, that's going to seem like a slowdown when in fact it's just back to normal.
Yeah.
I
think that's what everybody's done.
Yeah. And what's the distinction of leadership in navigating up, down, and sideways markets?
Great question. And then probably the best way to answer that question is communication.
Right.
You've got to be able to, one, communicate to your agents as well as your clients that even though the markets change, it doesn't mean that we're experiencing a crash or some kind of, 08 situation. It's just a leveling off of the market. It's just what happens.
Well, Owen, leading your agents now between now and the end of the year, both yourself, your own personal leadership, and leading your agents through the next 6 months, what does that look like for you?
That's, I'm actually going back to basics, prospecting. I have actually taken some time myself to jump back in and show agents what it's like to, prospect sellers, prospect buyers, where they're not calling you, you're not an order taker anymore. And I'm actually doing an internship program as well to help people that want to get into the industry learn the art of prospecting, the art of communication.
The other thing that I was talking to a couple agents yesterday about, even the very experienced agents who are taking listings, we're so used to them selling in 24 to 48 hours. And now that maybe they're on the market 24 to 30 days, they're having to actually service the listing. And even though they're experienced, it's still like, oh, this is different than the last 2 years. We actually have to service the listing. So is that going to be a component for your experienced agents as well?
Yes. And, again, that's the question. And that's the hard, you've got the sellers going, why isn't my house selling in 3 days? And the agents don't know, some of them don't know how to answer the question. Mm-hmm. But I took some time last week to lay out a 45-day plan for a listing, the steps you take before, during, and, being proactive throughout the listing. That way they already know what to say. It's, the objection handling. Right. It's just part of what we do. And agents are starting to learn that, and the sellers are starting to accept that. But again, it comes back to communication. Yeah. You got to be with your people, and they're fine.
Yeah, for sure. And Owen, I'm going to speak to everyone listening to the audience today. Normal, I'm going to call normal, is about 120 days on the market. And we have to service the listing and communicate each week and market and network. That's about 4 months. And in some cases, up to 6 months. That's going to seem like an eternity, even after 24 to 25 days. When we move to, let's say, 60 days, it's going to feel like another slowdown, when in fact we're just bouncing back to normal. So I don't know that we can talk about that enough.
Yeah. And again, I kind of welcome the idea that this is a normal market, and that is a reality. Sometimes houses don't sell in 10 or 20 days, even 30 days. Yeah. I've had lots of deals I've done over the years where we were at 120, 150 days, right, and they still did pretty good as far as list price to sell price. Yeah. I think again, just knowing your market and being calm and being a professional will make you stand out from most of the agents in your market.
And actually servicing the listing, right? And servicing the sellers. Now, if there was a tool, if there was a resource that you couldn't live without, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a great question. One tool, I mean, would you say internet just in general
Well,
because of the
that's
fact
true.
that we're so technology
Yeah.
based?
But what about like KV Core, JPAR Sure
Oh yeah,
Sale, Hurdler?
yeah.
Um,
KV Core, without a doubt.
yeah, KV Core
That's your virtual assistant. That's
yeah,
your reminder. Make sure you touch, you reach out to this person. I tell agents all the time, like that is your Bible in our industry. That's the CRM.
yeah.
You've got to be able to use that and make it work for you, because the agents that use KV Core are way more successful than those that try to do it just off memory.
Do you find that even the most experienced agents still want to, what I call, market themselves into the business versus what I call direct contact? This is a direct contact game. And without direct contact, without a assertive, active prospecting plan, I've just never seen it work. Have you?
No. And you see agents that have been doing this for 20 years and they kind of have plateaued as far as what they can do production wise. And it's because they're not willing to adapt. They're not evolving as technology has changed, as the market has shifted. And the agents that are putting plans together and have, a system that they follow, they tend to have way more success.
Yeah. Owen, I can sniff it out pretty quickly because the call typically comes to me like this. Mark, I've been in the business 15 years. And when I used to do ... and, and then they're complaining about their current business. And I'll come back to say, well, you told me at the beginning of the conversation, you used to do these things and that's when your business was up. Why don't we go back to those? And then they'll call me like 2 months later and say, I went back to those fundamentals and guess what? My business is back up. So,
Yeah.
Sometimes we can overcomplicate things, right?
Absolutely. I equate it to athletes. Even the greatest athletes will tell you that when they go through struggles, whether it's hitting or pitching or shooting the basketball or whatever, is you have to get back to your fundamentals. You have to remember what got the foundation that built you. And it's the same thing in real estate. We have a foundation that set us up for success. Sometimes we forget to go back to those basic skills.
Yeah. I think you've got the Muhammad Ali quote behind you. And I think of Bruce Lee, who said, I would much rather do 10,000 kicks once versus, 10,000 different kicks and be an expert in that one move than be an amateur in 10,000 moves.
Yes. The obsessive part. That's what makes the great ones great, is being obsessed with being good at that one thing. And then you build from that.
Yeah. And typically it is just that here's this one thing that I am over indexing in. And they've chosen to focus. Well, any last words of wisdom as we wrap up this episode?
What I would say to agents, whether they're veterans or new to the industry, is that this is just another, shift that happens. But this is a great, career to be involved in. You can do really well. You can make, an excellent living. Oh. And like I tell people all the time, is that money facilitates the dream and the freedom. So money just leads to something. This is an industry where if you work really hard and you get good at your craft, you can do exceptional financially. And that opens the doors for so many other things that you're passionate about.
There we go. And that could be the quote of the episode. Shift happens.
Shift happens. I love it.
There we go. All right, Owen, appreciate you always. Thanks for your leadership. Thanks for being an influential industry leader here at the JPAR Network. Super appreciate you sharing today, and I can't wait to see you again soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, there we go. That's a wrap for this episode of Success Superstars. Until we see you again, may your choices reflect your hopes and not your fears.